Oh, finally. Oh, thank you. Hello, y'all. Oh my God. Hold on. I think I'm on. Let me know. I swear to God. You too. Oh, my bun is not bunning yet. They have so stressed my bun is not bunning. Oh, check on in. Why is my bun this side? It's hard to see, like, fix your bun when it's like, yes. Okay, hopefully you're here. I can't stop, won't stop. I hope you can see me because I can see the screen now. Oh, y'all, they are diabolical. Oh, check on in. You mother freakers, boy. YouTube is out of mother freaking control. What? I've been trying to get on for like the last, I don't know, it's an hour? Yeah, it's like an hour. Come on in, y'all. Let me shake for the haters. You are such a diabolical set of bioborgs. You attempt to stop me. You just make me do it harder and harder and harder. Check on it. Oh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hello from the UK. I see you. You love the shaky, shaky. The difference is like I can't tell my direction. Check on in, y'all. Hey, Chan. Big up to Chan. The best. Oracle, Chan, Babette, Dalmache. Usually Cherish is in here. Thank you to all your amazing moderations. Melissa's usually in here too. I really appreciate it because they're really trying me today. And I know the message is not for everyone. So Guyana's in the mother freaking house. Hey, Guyana. Guyana. Guyanese. Guyana. Okay. So what I need to do is ask you. I'm going to ask everyone to take the little ones out of the room. I'm going to give you time because, you know, we wait until, we like to wait until 500. So I'm going to wait until listen, I got to do my lip gloss again. Yo, they have me stressed. I was trying for an hour to get on here. They already hijacked my Patreon, but let me give a message to the Dark Emperor. I hope you are not holding a grudge. You are not canceled or deleted, Dark Emperor. You are more than welcome to come back and join us. I was hijacked by cocaine dealers on Patreon trying to set FleurBrun up. So if you feel like you were deleted, you weren't. So that's a message directly to you, Dark Emperor. Cheers. Jingle, jingle, jingle. I was hijacked. Oh, boy. Check on in, y'all. I feel like I need a nice song. Ba, 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 ba. So take the little ones out of the room. I know abuelas, mommies, daddies. I'm getting messages. Oh, I'm getting messages from the underworld. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I love it. I've got such good news on this side. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Love is in the air, y'all, even though this message isn't about love. Don't you love it when the haters get mad because they lost? You haters are losers. You're losers. You know why you're losers? Because you try so hard to keep me off of YouTube. And you know what I have to say to you? You're a loser. Loser, okay? I'm just going to antagonize them every single time they come on here. They had me trying for an hour, but can't stop, won't stop. Remember, I'm 3 Sagittariuses. I'm a mother freaking rat. I'm resilient as a ox on a rainy day. Don't play with me, YouTube. Now you're going to make the message come even harder. No pun intended to our sun stars. Okay, little ones out of here. You know the message is going to be raw. So I have to, listen, it was a message from the Andromedas. I haven't heard from them for a long time. This is very pertinent. Make sure that you, like I said, I always say this to you because I'm one of those sea stars that is really big on making sure that the little ones aren't um, affected by the message. I'm a mommy and I'm about that life. Any moms, dads, oh, well, as you know, I won't mess with our little ones' minds. And I hope you won't either. This message is going to be raw, a little naughty, some references to wands and yonis and women and men. So, because of that, I want to make sure that everyone is being protective of their little one's peace of mind. And let me just say this, no shade, because I can be a little saucy. I am Creole. Please be mindful. I'm going to be talking about wands of mass destruction today. If you have any issues with your wand, you're suffering from erectile dysfunction, your wand is crooked or short, this is not the video you want to come in because you're going to feel a certain way. Okay. If you're a man that's beating up on his wife, you got mass women, yonis that you got on Rolodex. This is not a video for you. You're going to be you're going to be massively triggered. You're going to be gaslit, and you may not want to look at yourself in the mirror after I share this message. So wand size matters, y'all. This is a sip for the haters. Oh. Oh. There's no pornography on here. It's just YouTube. Oh, hey, Jamoji. Oh. You got me running around here for an hour. You gonna get it, phallic bastards. You mad? You should be. Okay, I'm gonna give it. Oh, we're almost to 500, y'all. I can't even play with you for a little bit because they have me running around here like a crazy person. Hold on. Da, 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 da. Okay, we're almost to 5. Everybody okay? So peace of the. Now this message is from the Andromedans via the Athugians. You haven't heard that for a while. The Athugian conglomerate. So, they big mad, right? And I'm antagonistic too, so I'm over here dancing. So, big anyone who is on my Patreon, just a FYI, if you are my patron, I'm talking to Dark Emperor because I think he thinks I deleted him. I didn't, but they hijacked my Patreon. That's what I'm saying, y'all. They're out of control. The dark. I'm just a mom from Mount Vernon, New York. Like, why are you afraid of me? Like, why can't I give messages? You got all these mother freakers online, super soldiers and whatnot, giving messages all day. They don't mess with their channels. Why me? Leave us alone. God darn it. They hijacked my Patreon page and had coke dealers as if I do drugs. Coke dealers sending cocaine and pictures of drugs and paraphernalia. Y'all, when I tell you that the Willy Wonka is out of control, y'all, they sent cocaine messages to all the people on my Patreon as if I'm selling drugs. This is the kind of craziness. Do you imagine someone getting like cocaine? Come on, really? Like, you're not even that original. And guess what? Because I'm a Sagittarius and I'm a rat, I found another home for my people. You know what I'm saying? Let my people go. These mother freakers out of control. They hijacked me last week. Yo, the struggle is real. Like, oh my God. So, big up to Oracle, Melissa, my people that got my people out of Patreon. We had to skedoodles out of there. So Patreon is compromised, y'all. So if you thought it wasn't, it's just overstand it and understand. They came from FleurBrun and they were real slick about it too. Okay, so everybody is off Telegram. So if you are on Telegram and you haven't been there for a while and you're getting cocaine messages from the Willy Wonka, because I'm telling you, it's the gummy man and his cohorts. Stuffy, Wuffy, Snuffleupagus Lovin', what's his name? Muskie, the one who put all the freaking satellites in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Mount Vernon's in the building. Big up Mount Vernon, New York. Yo. Oh, I'm at 500, y'all. Let's get the message. Children out of the room. Big up. Peace to the east, west, and north, south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with many messages of mass destruction. So check on it. Okay, so what? Okay, so yeah, thank you, Sean. Yeah, they're out of control. All right, so those I remember before I even start the message, understand and understand that you can come here and share any bit of opinions. One thing you won't see me be against is you can have an opinion, but you're going to be respectful in my mother freaking house. Okay, we got mods on deck. Susu's in the house too. We got Sean, we got Oracle, we got Babette, we have AJ, we got our main uh, uh, mods in the house. Be respectful. The message is going to be really reckless. And I'm not going, and Del Mache just came in the house. I'm not going to be sweet and kind. Okay. Because Willy Wonka, you trying too hard. Okay. Let me put on as a disclaimer for the mother freakers who put drug paraphernalia on my page and hijack my Patreon. You know why you're dumb? You know why you're really ignorant and dumb? Because I am the most drug-free alcohol person. You doing that makes you look desperate. Like you what like put some pornography out for God's sake. Like is that the way you have to go? Is put cocaine paraphernalia on my page? Like that's as far as you can find and make things up. You are so dumb. You are a loser. You and your cohorts aren't going to be here much longer. Rather, we won't be here much longer. You could keep trying, but you're going to lose and you're going to end up getting hits because anyone who comes against those of us, especially from the Andromedan sector, you're going to have a consequence. You're going to lose your money, you're going to lose your standing, you're going to lose your house, and you might get hits on your family. Watch who you mess with. Every time you hit me, you get yours. You better watch yourself. Okay, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, so let's get to the message. Let me just do another shake for the haters. Okay, let's get the message. Um, as many of you know, during the Halloween time of year, you know that I like to do communication, especially many of you know that my mom transitioned. So for the longest time and last year, some of you have been with me for a while. So you realize like last year, I do forms of um, finding ways to telecommunicate when the veil is most open. It's been successful in that I always have some form of telecommunication with beings beyond the veil, beyond the restricted interface that we're normally used to. Last year, remember, I think many of you remember that I was contacted by melanated black, they're not black, melanated ETs, soldier likes that had given me a message saying to be a non-participant as things go forward, and that there would be a consequence to the patriarchy for not behaving or not protecting their bloodline, the bloodlines, and the ones that they were contracted to protect. Okay, so many of you remember last year, it wasn't a message that I wanted because some of you remember I was trying to contact my grandmother last year. I do it every year. Sometimes I get messages. It's my way of kind of, you know how people use spirit boxes. For me, I'll use other forms. I use the phone. Okay. So if you remember that last year, this year I don't have the phone, but I was attempting to contact my mom. Many of you know my mom transitioned in July, and I really wanted to contact her just to have interface. I hear her in some ways, but I wanted to have that communication like verbally, tangibly in this realm. Okay. Um, unfortunately, I was contacted by, I think the Zombies I talked about, a being who had transitioned with her two daughters, and she contacted me, a spirit who was connected. So I picked up a spirit and they contacted me. I don't want to go into that because it's not connected to this message, but I did receive a message, which was interesting on the first, which was 111. So big up to everybody who had some form of communication with their loved ones, or those who tend to use this time for rituals to bring on or to initiate certain things throughout the year. You know that November 1st is, even though Nov is 9, but just for the shenanigans that the Willy Wonka likes to initiate and tell us and educate us on, it is 11/1. Okay, so we have the 1/1, and I had a huge message. Not only that, did I get that? There were a couple things that happened aerial wise. So many of you know I'm a contactee or we're actually seated for the Andromedans. The Ethugians, which you know last year I found out that the Ethugians are what you would perceive to be a conglomerate that kind of houses the different sectors of galactics, what we perceive to be galactics. Okay, so the Ethugians is like a hub for the groups that are um, under in different sectors. Okay, so the Ethugians had made it a point to initiate me into a position of being an ambassador, which I didn't feel qualified for, but I understand why now. Okay, this year, Saturn Day, which was November 1st, I had contact with the Andromedans. The message is really interesting. Also, it can cause people to be gaslit. So I say, if you're coming in for the galactic message, remember, I have to always tell you this because people come in like, oh, she's so rough. She says negative things. I am not a love and lighter. I don't sit there and do yoga all day, meditate under the stars. It's just not what I do. Am I a decent person? Absolutely. Do I live and exist in a way that is perpetuating higher, more balanced frequencies? Absolutely. But as far as being a love and lighter, many of you know, it's just not what that I am. That isn't what I am. So when I state this to you, I always say it to you so you don't get shocked when you hear messages that feel less than divine. Okay, so the message behind the messages are usually things that I feel that are useful, but I say this to you to prepare you because this message, again, like last year's message, but this is special because it's to my heart. It's the Andromedans. So big up to the Andromedans who are hosted and also seated by that sector. So I haven't heard from the Andromedans for a while. Remember, if any of you know about the Andromedans, they're very hyper feminine. Like it's the kind of feminine you would see like if you watch Wonder Woman, if you watched the king, what was it, the king, remember the women, the African women, and they were tribe, they were like African women. I forgot the name of the movie. Do you guys remember the movie The King? I think it's called The King. Kind of like that. I want to give you like Black Panther, when you see the women coming together and they're like in warrior mode. Those are the type of women that are the energy of the Andromedans. Now, you know, when you, the woman king, thank you, Damache. Thank you, Oracle, the woman king. I want to give you an energy that represents like how the Andromedans kind of presented. In visual, many of you seen even on my page, if you've been to my conference, the Andromedans that I am in contact with, and some of you are seated from, have a more of a um, jungle kind of like Mayan. They're connected to the earth. They were beings like the Andromeda sector that I'm in contact with, that some of you are seated from. We talk about this. If you watch my videos, I don't want to give you the breakdown because you would watch my videos over the years. They usually have their hair in locks or what you perceive in like twists. And they usually have pine cones with different different metals denoting their ranking, like gold and silver, and it's pine cones in their hair. Okay, they're earthbound in that the original Earth, which this is not, this is a simulated Earth. They coexisted on the Earth in what you perceive to be the Mayan civilization. Okay, during a couple cataclysms before, these Andromedan women, which some of you would consider to be the ancient Maya women, which are melanated women, coils. They look very much like many of us who are seated from them because we share some cellular component with them. They were befriended by a group of insectoids, ant beings. Now, I'm giving you a breakdown so you understand when I give this message who I'm talking about and what it means. They were befriended by ant beings, and those ant beings and them work in sync together. That's why I say whenever you're getting contact, heavy contact from the Andromedans, you generally will see a lot of ant activity. A lot of ants will come up. Why are there ads on my live? Wait a second. Hold on, y'all. Hold the message. Are there ads coming on my live right now? Ladybug, can someone tell me if this is true? Oh my God. They're out of control. Y'all, I promise you I didn't do that. Like they would, okay. Let me go with the message. I'm so sorry. Let me apologize. I'm sorry you're going through this. The message is real. They do not want me to give you this message. And it's just pissing me off because they keep doing more things. But let me go on. So the Andromedans, and many of you know other people who talk about Andromedans on their channel, and they talk about the Andromedans being um, blue beings, some other beings. Andromeda is like saying it's a big what you perceive to be like a galaxy, like an area, and it houses a lot of different beings. um I wouldn't say, and I won't say that the Andromedans that I'm in contact with are the only in soul. It's just who I'm in contact with. They're galactic, and when I say galactic, as you realize, the galactics are not only from above, they're not really from above, they're kind of below, because really we're encased in a bubble, kind of like a snow globe, and we're in this petrified kind of blue ice, which you could perceive to be the firmament. It is a encasement to keep us here. Okay, so the Andromedans are from that area. The last cataclysm, well, a couple cataclysms ago, they were brought to the Andromedan star system. So when I say the Andromedans, I'm still connecting it. And also, I talked about in previous videos the seeding of Teachaba, who inevitably became Merhilevo in or New Orleans. They are one and the same. She is the head of our Sistren. She is the head of the Andromedans. And I'd say the head only in this realm because the ship that they hid, they called the EBE, that was her. She was never dead. There was another sea star, a darker melanated sea star that was also on the ship, beheaded and also decapitated during when they were inserted here. Okay, so she is who is head of what I perceive to be the Andromedans in our hologram. Okay, she doesn't die. Okay, and if you have a chance, make sure you go and see the other videos that kind of break it down into this. I'm giving you a little bit of like a fast forwarding so you get an idea of who I'm talking about for those who are newer to me. I don't, some of you've known me for a long time. I've been on YouTube since 2011. I don't know what you've heard or you've heard shared with me. Okay. Oh, Melanated High Priestess. Wait, let me give a shout out. Congratulations, Melanated High Priestess. I heard you got married. I want to wish you a happy, beautiful, and blissful partnership. So big up to Melanie. Please wish her, give her well wishes. Beautiful, beautiful mother, matron, very powerful. If many of you know, if you remember Melanie, the High Priestess, she had her son, right? During 2020 at home on her own. I love you. I wish you so well. So many beautiful, happy blessings to you and your family, your beautiful family. Okay. So, wait, how come you're not? I thought you were part of my. Hold on, let me give you superpowers. How come you were? I thought you were a moderator. Okay, there you go. Superpowers, Melanie High Priestess. Big up to you. She has a beautiful, beautiful family. Beautiful family. Okay, okay. So I'm sidebarring a little bit. So many of you know that when I talk about the Andromedans, I talk about them. And if you have an idea of who the Ampings are, if you listen to many of the indigenous groups like the Hopi, there's another two groups, Pueblos, I think also, if I'm not mistaken, anybody from the Pueblo clan, Pueblo clan, I think the Pueblo also, you also have relationships with the ant beings, okay? And many of you see this on the buildings. If you see this in the ancient Mesopotamia, you see beings that had the two antennas. Those are the ant beings, okay? And the Hopi have beautiful images. They dress up. The Lakota, thank you, the Lakota as well. And you could kind of go research on yourself to understand that this isn't something that you could possibly make up. You can actually look on references on hieroglyphs that are on every single building, whether you go to ancient Egypt, you go into Mesopotamia, you go into the Americas, you see references to the ant beings that have good relationships with certain higher vibrational beings. This is why during a pole shift, you will see people that are that the people that will leave and be led down underground during the pole shift. Okay, so I just want to give you a breakdown. So was it yesterday? Well, I would say last night, but on November 1st, I finally had contact again with the Andromedans, y'all. And I was really excited. There was a lot of aerial activity. I had gotten contact with spirits during the night before. So it was very interesting. I was getting a lot of interesting interface through the veil. And I wasn't able to speak to my mom, which many of you know, that was my biggest way of really trying to have contact. And you know, many of you know I love my mother. She was like my best friend. So it's very hard not to have that kind of interface. But I felt like this was a good, this was a pleasant surprise for me, not being able to speak to my mother, but having the Andromedans contact me. I'm excited. So let me just state this, y'all. The Andromedans had a message to you, and this is actually uh, they wanted to let me let you know. Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, New Diamonds. I knew the same being I've been seeing from the Andromedans. Thank you so much. Another Andromedan. I'm not the only one they seeded. Okay, and I think I stopped the message because I got distracted. If you know Marie Laveau, Teachaba, they're one and the same. Okay, the Andromedan that many of us are seeded from, I've talked about the bloodlines connected to those going into New Orleans. A lot of us were seeded from her. We do have a lot of abilities because we were seeded from that cellular. She actually input a lot of her cellular, it's like her memories within each one of us. So a lot of us have a lot of magical properties. We are able to telepathically speak to one another. We have a lot of telekinesis that's active within us. So that's why you see in places where Marie Laveau later came, but you'll see that Teachaba, even though they'll say she was a slave, she wasn't. She was in the Caribbean. So she seated herself throughout the Caribbean, and she went through the Caribbean and went into New Orleans. Okay. And that's where you see a lot of that energy of that Andromedan in a lot of the sea stars and sun stars who come from the bloodlines of the mothers who seeded their sons. Okay, that's how you know you have the super duper, super duper abilities, meaning that your telepathy is off the charts. You actually have the ability because it's usually when you have contact with the Andromedans, they're able to surpass your cerebral cortex and give you the messages via symbols and usually with telepathy, it's not in words, it's symbols. It's like visual. It's how do you say it? It's like a pictorial language. So we don't use words in other places. Using your mouth is very archaic. It's a lower vibrational way of telecommunications. We always communicated with our minds. Okay, so some of you are seated from the Andromedans. You have that. Okay, so I gave you a little bit of backlight. I'm giving it to those who don't know. Some of you do, but that's for others. The Andromedans is a totally female, they're female cosmonauts in that way. Oh, thank you, Empress, Royal Rain. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hold on, my oven is, I'm making sweet potatoes. Hold on, y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sea Star. Okay. So that being said, the Andromedans are female sistren. Okay. I'm excited that they contacted me because usually they don't respect us if we are subjugated under the patriarchy. And what they shared in the message is really powerful because then it made me understand really what this realm is. So hold on, y'all. Okay. Okay. Hold on, that'll stop in a minute. That's just the oven. Okay. Okay. That being said, hold on one second. Hold on, y'all. Give me one moment. I want to be on, I'm doing the video later than I wanted to, so I'm kind of in the middle of something. Hold on. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. So that being said, it's a female solely group that has a lot of issues with how women are subjugated. But now realizing that we're going to the end, thanks, babe. I appreciate it. Now that we're getting to the end of a cycle, they've revealed what the real reason that women on this plane have been undergoing. Huh? Oh, is it today? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Why women under this plane have coexisted in such a tyrannical system, and basically let us know that the end of the Pharisee, it's the end of the Pharaoh, and it's the end of the phallic system, meaning that those of us who've been subjugated under a strong patriarchy, we were being tested, we were being groomed, we were being prepped for the end of the cycle. And those of us who are Andromedans have been heavily placed in the most strenuous conditions of being subjugated under marginalization, um, uh, heavy aggression from males. And when I say males, I want to be careful, because even though we state that it could be males, there are women who hold the highest energy of phallic worship, and they tend to be more aggressive and more relentless. Is there another ad? Oh my God, I can't turn it off. I don't know what they did. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, please. Is it interrupting? I'm gonna stop for a minute. Is it interrupting our live? They're out of control. I don't know what I can do. Should I continue, or should I make another live? Okay. I'm so sorry. I can't do anything. All right. Okay. So the message from the Andromedans is that there is an end to the rulership of the phallic systems that we were under. Um, this reign of terror under the the penal codes that we've been subjugated under, this is an end. And what the Andromedans let me know is that all of the times that we're perceiving to be put under pressure under these systems is basically almost like uh, uh, is a term they use. Oh God, it's like when you go into the Colosseums and you see they'll put two people or two beings in there to battle it out to see who reigns supreme. It is a form of um, training. And the Andromedans, specifically Andromedan sea stars, are in this realm as a form of training ground to see how strong how we can hold our power in a system that's subjugated to marginalization of females, order to see if we would sell out our sisters for male power, for us to hold that energy, and to um, to uh, to uh, to see if we were able to overcome. It's almost like a jotling. You ever see a jotling when you're constantly, like gladiators? Yes, like gladiators coming and beating and fighting out to the end. This is what this realm is to the Andromedans. And what's interesting? I talked about being connected to the movie Predator, and Predator coming into a new terrain and being and that Predator is very much the Andromedans. I talked about the image of the Predator is a combination of the Andromedans with their hair, their coiled dread-like hair, and the mouth of an ant. It's interesting that they show that image to you, and most of the Andromedans know and recognize that that is us, that they're showing an aspect of us within the Predator. And the Predator is set places in order to fight and show that they have the power, the paralysis, the dexterity to overcome their enemies. Okay, so whenever you see the Predator, go look at it again. You're going to now see what I'm showing you. The Predator is the Andromedans, but they're showing you the Andromedans melded with their insectilian friends, which are the ant beings. So that's why you see the mouth looking more like an insect than it is that. Okay, so just go and look at that again. And it's interesting to me at the time when the Andromedans are now starting to pick pluck out. Remember I told you about the seraphim who came here? They're connected to them, which I had no clue. The seraphim and the Andromedans, because in itself, I've never experienced the seraphim, even though they recognize me and I recognize them. The seraphim and the Andromedans, even though they're not the same sector, they're under the they're under the Etherean, they're under the same umbrella as the others. So even though they're not the same sector, they still have a respect for one another. So the seraphim who are here, and I told you the seraphim, it's not a positive message. The seraphim are here are to collect on, it's like they're picking, they're shopping at Bloomingdale's or at Saks and Fifth Avenues uh, uh, to harvest those mankind. And that's why I realized that they use the word mankind. They're here to harvest mankind. And there is something to be said that they utilize that terminology rather than humankind. They said mankind. Okay, so the Andromedans basically are watching and grading and seeing who reigns supreme under the harshest conditions of patriarchy that probably we've ever experienced in these several different lifetimes. During the time when we're about to be extracted from this realm, you would have to overcome and also be able to hold your integrity, your loyalty, and your vibration under such a very chaotic system. So when you're seeing women and children being kidnapped and raped, you're seeing women, the testimony to women folding under that system is just to separate the cream from the rest of the milk. Okay, so those women who are doing like OnlyFans, who are folding under the patriarchy, utilizing forms of sexuality to sacrifice themselves integrity-wise, and also to subjugate themselves under the marginalization of the patriarchy, they are being scaled against that when they're doing things like that. Okay, so according to the Andromedans, we are now ending the patriarchy, the Pharaoh system, the Pharisees, and all those who are worshipers of the phallic system. Okay, it's the end of that system. So now you're going to start to see the separation of those who have the Andromedan energy. So it's interesting because the Andromedans said that you could tell who's part of that sector because they no longer feel subjugated to mate or to partner with those who are in that phallic worship. So that's why you're starting to see a lot of women. It's interesting because I'm seeing it now. A lot of women are not partnered anymore. Did you guys notice that? Did you? No, it's not a yoni worship now. Do you guys notice that you're starting to notice that a lot of women are kind of separating from males? And it's odd because to me, I'm like, why? Because we love, big up all to those who can appreciate a decent wand. I've never seen that before. I'm not saying I'm that old, but it's weird to me that I'm seeing that there is a pure separation of females and males now. I've never seen it. And also, a lot of women don't have the craving anymore to mate with males. Almost as if that was a spell. The Cinderella spell has been broken. And that's basically what the Andromedan said, that now you will start to see the total separation of the two completely. Because in order to extract them, they have to separate from that dynamics. And doesn't say that males are not able to ascend. Remember, we talked about and I asked why are there certain males that are more cohesive to women, loving, like loving fathers, loving brothers, loving males. There are some in this realm because those are almost like what do they call them? Like, oh gosh, when you go and play a game and you have the referees and they're not supposed to be biased, they're supposed to be able to give proper score to both teams, and they're supposed to be neutral. It's kind of like the males who hold a healthy connection to the divine feminine within them. the connection to their mothers, very loving in spirit. They're the ones who benefit off of what's coming next. They're the ones who will be elevated with the sea stars who will be extracted off of this realm. So that's why I say it's not, when you see really positive, and I see them, I have, my dad was so wonderful. My brothers are sweet and kind. I see like Chan, we have some wonderful sun stars with us. They're very gentle. They're very loving. They're very balanced within the energies of females. They aren't oppressive or predatory. Those males hold a high space and ranking within those other galactic cosmonaut realms. So they're here almost like inserted to make it possible and plausible to like be good mitigators, or good like referees in a system that is really imbalanced. So big up to our sun stars in here. There is no shade to y'all, because to be here, and if you notice, there's only less than a handful of them. And that's for a good reason, because they're here to balance the beams, to balance out the energy. But so I will say this, the warning is, and this is the part that I didn't want the little one to hear, because I'm getting out the basis of why the Andromedans contacted me, letting me know that there was a reason why there was a full separation between males and the females and the patriarchy. And that is an energy that's being initiated not only by the Seraphim who are here, that is also being initiated because the spell, the Cinderella spell, has been broken. Apparently, we've been under a spell while we're here. It's purposefully, even though you're in a gauntlet, even though you're being kind of trained in order to fight in the system, you wouldn't do it if you knew why you were here. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't necessarily have the you wouldn't feel like you'd want to fight or you'd want to stand up in any way. You would have to be tested without you knowing why, or that you are being tested. So there's going to be a separation. Now, I will say this is the negative part, and it's not negative. You could take it as you want. Okay. And let me state this has nothing to do with homosexuality. Let me put that again, because a lot of women will say, oh, what does this mean? You're going to be gay? What does this mean? You're going to be with women? It has nothing to do with that. The Andromedans don't have that perception. They're just a female society. And you don't realize that it's not the only society that's one-sexed. We think that it's only females that have these societies, like the Wonder Womans or the Man King society, or like the warriors that are in the Black Panther. No, there are males that are also in male societies where they don't have a connection to females. And a lot of times we talked about this, a lot of these Centaurian groups, a lot of these groups that you're seeing in your arts, like on social media, like your celebrities, these males are all homosexual males. You don't think that's by chance. It's not all that they've been socially conditioned. Yes, they're under that tyranny, under the patriarchy. They've chemicalized males via the womb, with drugs, vaccines, and otherwise, to create more feminized males. But there is a sector of males that are only males that have only come from male societies. And the only reason they're engaging with females in this plane of existence is for replication of themselves. They wouldn't mate. That's why they don't have any love. When you look at societies like Saudi Arabia, you look in the Middle East, you wonder why these men, you look in places like India, where they can gang rape women, kill them, hang them up. Like if a woman dies and she's married, they can kill her and do a mercy killing by burning her to death, because they come from systems, they are seeded by a system that is not in alignment with females. They actually hate females. They actually feel they actually have an envy or jealousy towards the fact that we can create life. Our wombs are stargates that they haven't any sort of ability to replicate themselves. Without women's wombs, they would die out. And they have a resentment towards that. So these societies that you see them, they purposefully vilify women and beat them because they're jealous of them. They hate women. They hate the fact that without us, they wouldn't exist. So because that, they're trying to subjugate and marginalize and create ways to impose self-hatred on us, because that's very much how they feel. Okay, they want to be us. That's why you have all these societies where it's a constant perpetuation of negativity when it comes to women, or propping up women of the lowest self-esteem. Like you have someone like Bonnie Blue, who is a homosexual, allegedly a transsexual. I don't know if you guys ever know that. There's a the person who slept with 1,000 men in one night. Are you guys aware of that? Please don't have children on here because I don't want to get into the conversation if there's children. There's a group, there's a woman, Bonnie Blue, and it's not a woman, it's a trans that's perpetrating and cosplaying as a woman, having 1,000 penises inside of herself, okay, and perpetuating that so that other women mimic that. Do you understand? These kind of beings want to almost mock the womb, mock the yoni. They want to take it and utilize it and destroy it and visually show that out to the world so that women perpetuate the same behavior and kill themselves. There isn't any natural female who could have 1,000 wands inside of her and who exist. It would cause her to be sick, mental illness, everything. That is a form of mental illness. It's a form of that is a form of like self what is it called, like self-loathing. It's the lowest form of being. Okay, it's a mockery to femalehood. It's a mockery of the womb. It is a abuse to show that out and to mock the very thing. So you think that you can go and get a surgery and make a bellowing hole and be a female, but it's all a mockery. Okay, so the message is also for those who are in alignment with the lowest patriarchal field, those men who are harmful to women, who are harmful to children. That's why, and it was hard to watch during the last couple years, watching women and children being so abused, so misused. Creating social media to show us in the lowest way. That was purposefully done to test you, to see if you were so socially engineerable that you would replicate the same low vibrational behavior that these Pharisee want you to do. The Pharisee are the reason, and we can call the Pharisee many things, but this is a terminology they use. They say it's death to the Pharisee, the Pharaoh, and the Phallic Worshippers. That was their terminology. I didn't use death because I say the end, but the way that the Andromeda stated it, it was death to the Pharisee, to the Pharaoh, and to the Phallic Worshippers. And if you know what I'm talking about, we can call them any number of names. We could call them the 33 degree, the Scottish Rites, the Masons, those who mimic a lot of the ancient practices and occultism that we see. Oh, thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. Thank you. Those who mimic a lot of the behavior patterns that mock and abuse women. And you know that these Pharisee wouldn't be able to hold power unless women allowed them to use their wombs as death camps, as womb hosting demons, because the womb hosts stargates. And you do know that sex magic is used readily and perpetually within these groups because they can't manifest anything. They have in a womb. A womb is the only way that you can manifest life inside of here. It's a vortex of creativity. That's why you can create children. And if you're not using your womb to create children, you can manifest things through your orgasmic energy. We talked about this before, that having an orgasm, this is why the dark Kabbalists tend to have sex magic ritual parties and orgies to use the women's wombs to initiate manifestation. That's why a lot of times they will rape women and children in order to initiate these death kind of these kind of rituals to manifest the reality that benefits them the most. So it's very important that when you're in this kind of gotling, this kind of like when you're initiated as an Andromedan inside of this belt of battles, that you understand and understand that the very power between your legs is more than they will tell you. They will make it seem like it's just sex. They will have men mistreat you. They will have people misguide you and make you feel, and they will make you feel like the blood of your every month is something to be feared or something to dread, when that is the creation of life. Okay, it isn't that we always bled. Remember, they towed the moon here. The moon is an artificial construct. It was something that was brought here to control women's wombs. Okay, in ancient times, before the fall of the sistren, before the age of patriarchy and these male beings that came here who were totally deaf death worshippers. Okay. And why do you know they're death worshippers? Because everything they do has to do with dead presidents on your money that you exchange. Who would put dead presidents on something? Why in our corners you have like Dr. Martin King, JFK, um, you know, um, you know, uh, Malcolm X? Do you have on those roads? You have the most murders. Why during the season of Halloween, which should be a day that you actually open up the bridge of communicating with those who have transcended, do they make it into a scary time? They bring demons out. They bring movies that are hosting lower vibrations to allow for more compromise and mounting to beings to be for those to be initiated with dark energies and lower vibrations. They are death kings because they can't create life. The only life they can create is through you. So they create death. That is their mark and symbol and their energy. They're death bringers. Okay. That's why they always initiate wars. That's when they came in to the real earth where we coexisted, which I told you, Planet X, Nibiru, whatever you want to call it, that's the earth that they replicated here in this holographic system. We're living on a geoengineered planet that is being weather modified to mimic where we initially some of us initially came from, which was the real earth. Okay, call her whatever you want. The last time I knew her, she was Tiamat. Okay, they're mimicking that in this realm. So they do that, and then they create the different terrains, and I think many of you don't realize you're living amongst people that weren't even birthed into the system. A lot of you don't realize that you're living amongst people. We talk about the Cabbage Patch, we talk about the incubator children, but when you look at societies like in China, and there's a whole bunch of males. We had this conversation on Zoom the other night. When you're looking at a society like China and there's a whole bunch of males, and the only excuse they give you that there's not a lot of females is that they abort mostly females, you don't realize that the batches of people there, how do you have 50,000 Lees? How do you have 50,000 Chongs? Because they're geoengineered. They're literally created in a laboratory and replicated at a high with a high demand of males. Whenever they will create a bot society, they will create a whole bunch of males. If you want to watch a movie that kind of talks to this, watch Mars Meets Moms. Needs Moms. Mars Needs Moms. My little one loved that movie. Mars Needs Moms talks about all these males being created and not having a true usage. And in societies where they need to have industrial societies, when they need a lot of worker bees, if you look at you can look at anything like the insect kingdom or queendom, and you look at who is in those queendoms, like in those hives, who has the hierarchy. The queen holds highest hierarchy, and the drones, the males, are created to build. Okay. It's just that in those societies it's like that. Why wouldn't we see in our society it wouldn't be like that as well? In our society where we're coexisting, where it's been socially engineered for women to be in the bottom, they make it so that women are just dispensable, usable, prostituted, marginalized. Little girls are not they're vilified from young. The sex is the way that they use our yoni, so they benefit off of the yoni energy. Meanwhile, you're taking in death seeds because they're initiating their death sperm inside of you. Because when a man doesn't love you, when he ejaculates inside of your womb, he creates death. He houses his resentment in your womb. And that's why a lot of women suffer from forms of, diseases. All these diseases are the hosts of the jealousy and the resentment that's placed in your womb, that you're giving consent to every time you let a man who doesn't love you ejaculate and create death inside of your womb. So all these things with fibroids, all these issues women have with their wombs. Ask the lesbian community how many issues they have. Younger. We're not talking about older. Younger. Ask the lesbians, do they have how many of them have venereal diseases? How many of them have herpes? How many of them do they get what's the other diseases? Chlamydia. Ask the lesbians. I'm not promoting lesbians, but I'm asking because those are the women that are not proceeding and having initiated sex with males. Ask them how many of them have venereal diseases. Ask them how many of them have issues with womb problems. Okay. You got to, when I ask you to be rational, you got to ask that. Like, why in a society that the women engage with males constantly are they getting weird kind of womb issues? Because the womb is literally a stargate. It brings in the energy. They need your wombs in order to initiate that. Okay. And if you stop giving them access to the wombs, they'll start taking it. And that's a lot of times when you see all these societies where women are disappearing, they are violating the womb and the corpses after they kill the women. Because we were talking about this as well. This is a conversation. Please bring the little ones out of the room. I'm going to talk about things like necrophilia. That's another violation. You know, they did it with Marilyn Monroe after postmortem, that they had men having sex with a corpse allegedly after postmortem to torture the soul, because the soul is, even though it's disconnected from the body and the body's no longer able to host the life force, there is some damage to the soul essence when you violate the corpse. That's why it's important you don't let people handle your family after they transition. They tend to violate corpses. During the time of Halloween, there's more necrophiliac behavior than there is during the entire year. There's another holiday, I forgot what holiday, they also violate corpses, and they generally tend to violate women post-mortem. If you hear people working in a lot of these, what are they called? Morgues, okay? You hear men having sex with the corpses post-mortem, okay? These are violations to the woman, even when her corpse is no longer hosting her soul, okay? So that being said, I know I'm saying things that are very harmful. Most people wouldn't talk about it, but it's important for women to know how powerful, even in death, they want to access your womb and demonize it and defoul it. Okay, and you have someone like a whatever name, something blue, who's sitting over there initiating and promoting. And when you look at things like um, what's it called again? What's that show again? The thing when the girls go on and they do sex and pornography. Oh God, I just said it. What is it called again? I just talked about it. What is it called again, y'all? I'm sorry. The thing with OnlyFans. I'm sorry. I always forget the name. OnlyFans. OnlyFans is it's being initiated in the highest form to lure women with this whole women's lib. Women's lib has nothing to do with you initiating sexual acts in order to attract males or to have males masturbate to you. That is the lowest form of a woman's behavior, is to do acts that defile your soul essence in order to entice and to satisfy males' propensities. So OnlyFans, I personally think, this is not the Andromedas, I actually think OnlyFans was created in order to be a trap for those in an economic system that was failing, so that girls felt like if they didn't want to initiate, because there would be a time they knew that women, the spell of Cinderella would fall off of us, that women wouldn't feel a need to mate with lower vibrational men anymore. So they knew they needed to find a way to utilize the social, the financial system and the challenge with the financial, with people owing bills, people not being able to buy groceries, people not being able to pay their mortgage. So what they did is they created the the OnlyFans, to be the trap for girls and young and women, so that once they started to feel this need, because remember, the dark Kabbalists are smart. They preempt. They know that we're about to leave. They know that women are the ones who initiate ascension or exodus or extraction. And what better thing to do when you knew that there would be a time when the Cinderella spell would fall off of us, and that women stop wanting to mate. So now the mating with males that normally would provide for your family and yourself would fall away. And then they knew that women would look to something else that gave them what they perceived to be independence. So what did they do? They created pornography. They found another way to access your wombs, because if they can't access it physically, they can access it through, thank you, Jericho, they would access it through the black mirror that we call our phones, our televisions, our computers, which is a black mirror. Black mirror is two-way. Black mirror is those who can harness your energy by pulling it through the black mirror, and also via, you can do it the other way around. So they created these traps. So young women would compromise themselves, and they would automatically take themselves off the possibility of ascending and leaving this realm. The Andromedans actually think that's great because they want to know that that's the type of woman that's so easily coerced and socially engineered to compromise her integrity, to compromise her soul, and to compromise her womb based in patriarchal, trinkets and treats that they'll give you. It's called trick or treats. Why do you think they call men tricks? Okay, that's a whole spell that they use so that you subconsciously take these things into your mind, and you initiate certain behavioral patterns that are connected to you playing these parts within the social dynamics right now, especially when we're about to ascend out of here. Okay, so the part that is going to be hard to hear is that now that we're at the end, all scores, Ma'at weighing the heart against the feather is being done now. Finals are being, all the finals are being graded right now. So there isn't any time for you to jump off and say, hey, I didn't know this, I'm going to get off at OF. You've already compromised yourself. You're going to have to go through the wheels of reincarnation the next time when they're going through bioborgs, and, because the next cycle in this holographic system is going to be transhumanism. It's going to be like bioborgs, and you're going to be coexisting less in biological bodies and more into syntheticas and cyborgs. How do I know this? Because I'm looking at everything being replaced with machinery. Okay, so what time is coming, because if it was going to be a cohesive time for people to live biologically, you would see the planet hosting more biological preservation. You would see less nanoparticulates being thrown into the sky, getting into people's skin. You would see more organic things being expressed. How I know we're going into a cyborg time in the next cycle is because everything is going into electronics. Everything is machine based. So you're looking at the grocery store. How many tellers do you see? They're already replacing you with machines. Okay, so that's the next cycle. So if you've compromised yourself and you've sexually become a deviant under this social system, and you're so easily coerced into selling out your womb in order to make dead presidents, then you've already cycled yourself into the new rearrangement, the new rigmarole, ring around the rosy of reincarnation, and you will be living in more of a transhumanism type of lifestyle, in a based and going through those series of reincarnation until you learn and you ascend past those, challenges. Okay, so under that system, so it's no shade. All of us, I always say this. I don't say this because this isn't a realm for victims. This is a realm for victors. You're being tested and qualified in order to have initiation and to be validated and qualified to leave this realm. If you notice, this realm isn't full of happy-go-lucky, wonderful people. We're living in a realm where sexual deviancy is regulated, is elevated, where people who do the darkest things are relegated as superstars and people that you try to emulate. The darkest things that people do, whether it's alcoholism, drug abuse, is validated and perpetuated. The people on the toppest layers, the billionaires, which is B is a 13, and ill is right behind it because B emphasizes and amplifies the ill. Billionaires are the sickest people that probably are the biggest pushers of pornography. They make their money off of death culture. They're the ones and the reason why trees are destroyed and devastated, why women and children are being used and traded on the stock market with their flesh. The reason why melanin is literally extracted and given to those who aren't able to live under the firmament with the amount of radiation that's coming. This is the kind of thing that is placed in the top tier and rewarded in this realm. When you get a Kim Kardashian and she has a show, and the way that she was able to be, placed in an important position, she has no talent. This is I'm in no shade, y'all. I'm just giving you the truth. You have someone like a Kim Kardashian who has zero talent. She doesn't sing. Her child can't dance, even though she's created children with a so-called rapper who's suffering from mental illness. Her child has no rhythm. She has no talent. Her only talent was opening up her legs to every melanated man who had some position of power to elevate her. Now she's a vampire of some sort. She's some sort of, like we talked about, there's these gypsy women that come from these come from the Pharisee. These are literally like the insectiline kind of Pharisee seeds that siphon off of males. Okay. That's why every time she slept with a higher ranking melanated male, she was able to elevate herself without qualifications. Okay. That is the kind of world we're living in. Okay. So right now, that is ending. Those women who have sold them out to the phallic system will have to go and hide, because they will be held accountable and there will be a consequence to them before we leave this realm. So you're going to start to see men who are abusive to women, their own children, mothers. They will start losing their financial dexterity. They will start to lose their phallic power. Their wands will stop working. That's why we have a host of men suffering from ED. You think that's by chance? If you see the image that I shared, and I think Willy Wonka's League of Doom. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, my love. If you look at the image that I shared, that I think YouTube didn't like, okay, you see the man's wand coming up like a parasite trying to take him over, and he's hanging from it. Literally, the penis is hanging, the wand is hanging him from his neck, from his own wand. That is what's going to happen to males that have engaged in horrific supporting of deviant behavior and perpetuation to the sea stars. You aren't going to get away with doing the thing. Even though we were living under patriarchy, doesn't mean you, just because you could, didn't mean you should have. If you are one, this is a message from the Andromedans. This is purely what they said. There are going to be consequences to those who have lived well under the phallic system, the Pharisees and the Pharaohs. You are going to pay for the deeds done against the wombs of the Andromedans. So if you have done harm to your own children, you will pay right now. You won't be able to hold a house that could house you. You will be dethroned by your own wand. Your wands will stop working, and even the very blue pills and the creams and whatever they give you will stop working. Your wands will fall and wither away. You will be held accountable for harm against your children. Any man who leaves his children, his own seed, to be abused, to be out there without any protection, because remember, fathers and males are the protectors of their seeds. When a father leaves, and that's why, if you know, under the system, that when a woman gives birth to a girl, the sins of the girl are paid because of her father. So when a father does dirty deeds, he damns his daughter. That is purposefully done. So he learns the lesson by seeing his dirty deeds playing out on his beautiful little girl, because he seeded her and hurt her by leaving her or hurting her mother. Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, my love. Thank you, SideQuest. RSVP me with the Andromeda, please. Oh, love. My condolences, much respect over the years. Thank you, my love. Thank you. I appreciate it. So those of you who have been sitting well under the phallic system, allowing for children to be harmed, your own seed to be harmed and to be non-protected, you are going to pay for that right now. You won't have a house to house you. Everything will be taken away from you. If you're finding that your luck has changed, is because it's the end of the cycle, and the Andromedans and the Andromedans and the Saracen are here, and they are not doing anything against you. They are allowing your own deeds to be played out, and for all those things, your ranking and everything, to be to be reflected that which you've given. So the non-protection you've done to your children, you won't be protected. For those men who abuse women, who hit and harm women, who rape women, who kill women, you have a darker repayment. You will pay severely in this lifetime and several ahead. So you will start to see males who do harm. You won't have to look for them, y'all. This is what the Andromeda said. You won't have to look for them. You don't have to do a thing. You won't have to lift a nail. You won't have to bat an eye. You won't have to do a spell. He will pay right now for his deeds against the sea stars. He will pay because now the cycle has ended, the test has been graded, and he will be held accountable for the deeds against the womb. His deeds against the womb is a reflection of who he is and who he's not. The Pharisee, the Pharaoh, and the phallic system is ending. And all those who harm women and children will pay. Any nation who's come against children and women, you will also pay. Those countries that find it funny and wonderful to send their soldiers to kill and imprison women and children, you are going to have the hardest punishment. You will engage in experiencing that which you've engaged to others, and also in the next cycle, you will experience that which you've given on to others. Okay? So you will pay. And for those women, because remember, a lot of you think it's just men. Actually, there's a lot more women who've done harm under the phallic system than others. Those women who have harmed other women's families without thought, without compassion, without any sisterhood, you will pay the biggest repercussions will come to you. Those women who sleep with other people's husbands and harm other people's families without even batting an eye, with breaking up and challenging and not thinking about her sister, you will have a consequence to what you do. Any women who sits purposely and prods her son up when she's raised a monster, and you've raised a monster and that abuses women, you will have a consequence to you. So if you sat there and allowed your son and bred a son, a monster, into our realm that is harmful to women, you will pay a consequence for rearing and birthing a demon in this realm to harm women and children. You have a consequence as well. Okay. And for those women who are propping up and perpetuating themselves with phallic worship, you will now be paying the biggest consequence, usually with your health. And what happens to you, you will be paying for the deeds done against your sisters and upholding and perpetuating things that demonize her visually and galactically. And people are seeing you showing an image that's supposed to be perpetuated in regard to how women are to be perceived. You will pay for that. Okay, it's the end of the cycle. And what the Andromedans did, oh, I'm getting hot. This is interesting. I'm heating up. Yeah, let me just say. So, and also, let me just state this. The men that have been raping women and so on, their penises will stop working. It's already happened. You know, when Willy Wonka, remember I told you that the Willy Wonka system anticipates that there's going to be a shift before a pole shift, before a reset. They anticipate this. So they create ways to compromise people or to elevate or allow someone to have still using their phallic energy to harm women and children and other males. Okay. Because we have to also understand that males that are using their phallic energy for abuse, they're not just abusing women, they're abusing other males. Okay, the phallus has been used to perpetuate a type of vicious attack on all holes, whether it's your anus hole, whether it's your vagina, your yoni, whether it's your mouth. Remember the man who just killed a wife with his wand and his girlfriend? I don't know if she was his girlfriend or someone. He killed her by her having oral sex and him killing her by shoving his wand in her throat and suffocating her to death, killing her. Those type of men will be held accountable. So I want to let you know, and this is not me telling you or guesstimating. It's happening as we speak. The Andromeda said, you already are going to pay. You're going to pay now. So for anyone who's wondering if your father who raped you and allowed you to be molested and lives a happy life, his life will start to fall apart if it hasn't already. For any of you who have fathers who left you and have lived fat off the hog without thinking about an eye, his life will now start to wither. His health will wither. For those of you who are victims of abuses by your boyfriends, your husbands, or men who are abused by your mothers who obsess with phallic, because remember, we also have women who allow enemies in their house to harm their sons, who will displace their children and their sons to house a phallic maniac in their house to hold position of power over her own children. You will pay for that. Okay? It's happening as we speak. So the Andromedans wanted me to give that message that Now the Pharisee, the Pharaoh, and the phallic system is ending. It is now going to end completely, and you will start to see and witness. Because I guess my question is, why would that matter? If it happens, it happens. I think what the Andromedans want us to think, at least I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe they need us to witness it, to know that, almost like, you could know you did well in a class, but when you see that A on your report card, and when you see that check mark that says you got it right, it makes you feel like it's an empowerment thing. So we have to witness consequences to those who've done harm, and those who've sat in positions of power, allowing harm to be done to us without any sort of repercussion. So part of us witnessing it is literally seeing that there is a consequence for behavior that's reprehensible. So countries that are in the Middle East that are doing harm, in Africa and the Americas and Europe, you are about to pay a consequence for your poor, depraved behavior. And anyone who's come against the womb or chooses to come against the wombs here and now, you will be ended quickly and swiftly. If not by those who are galactically connected to us, you will be ended by the very people and the energies and the females and the children in your life that you thought that you could get over on and harm. Okay. So I think the message, I got all hot when I was sharing the message. It's amazing because I didn't really think that they would fight so hard against this message. When I was coming on here, sometimes I want to share a message or come on here and give you something, but I didn't think they would come so hard for me. It makes me even know that, again, it's just the same thing for those who came on the other live where I said, I got, um, I got a message that the waterways were coming because there was an agreement between the the mermen and the soldiers, the cosmic melanated men. And I didn't realize that the water was going to come in so many different places. I think Brooklyn was flooded. We have Jamaica and Cuba, and also parts of the Bahamas that were flooded. So that message was preempted before it came. So I'm really appreciative. I didn't know where the waters were going to come, but apparently they made an agreement before because they knew the waters were going to come in. So this message is from the Andromedans, and I actually I actually feel like this is a time for those whose hearts have been broken. A lot of women have a lot of battle scars right now. A lot of men have battle scars from having mothers who haven't loved you, hugged you, and told you how special you were. So remember, this isn't just against, this is against the patriarchy. This is a message against the phallic system. Under the phallic system, there's been many victims, including males, sons, especially sons under this act. A lot of males have been victims of their mothers prioritizing other males and making them feel less than worthy, and also creating males that dislike females because of the way their mothers did that. So when I'm speaking about this, it's not just the females. You have to realize that under a phallic system, women can be just as harmful, if not worse. A mother that creates sons that destroy women. If you heard about a lot of the men that kill animals and children and women, you got to go back to where that started. And it mostly comes from a mother who was harmful, a mother that was terrible to her son, who didn't show him any love and compassion. That usually creates a monster. So when we talk about men, we can't take away from the fact that there was a womb that created that monster. There was a womb that sat there and created a child and didn't protect him and preserve him and give him nourishment, and then made and developed and created a monster. Okay? So please don't think that it's only males, because there are soft, wonderful males that are really abused under the system. They are abused by women that are that are phallic worshippers, who are sitting there abusing good males, healthy males, and they're victims under that reign as well. So I hope that message was okay. Okay. And also, remember, I think I said it before, I kind of lost sauce, is that there aren't many beings that are born here. There's a lot of beings here. And I just found out, I don't know if you guys know this, because I just found this out, I don't know, yesterday or the day before? Was it the day before? I just found this out. I found out that during World War II, and let me know if any of you know this, because we'll just chat a little bit. Big up, can you put a like on the video if you're okay? Well, they kind of deleted this video. I don't even know if the video will stay up, y'all. So put a like on the video. Hopefully it'll stay up. I don't know. They're putting ads on here that I couldn't get on here 3 times. If you put a like, I don't know that it'll stay up. Don't ask me, because again, I don't know how they got ads on here. I've never done a live when there were ads during my live. Like I don't know why. I don't get it. But anyway, just be careful, because I just found this out. Was it yesterday or the day before? Maybe the day before, because it kind of melts together. World War II, there were a lot of people killed, not necessarily incinerated, but killed. A lot of gypsy were killed. A lot of people were killed, and those who were, it was actually a gentleman who's Jewish who talked about this. He said that his whole family was killed. The mother was the only one who survived. Like the mother and father got together. And I want to know if you guys know about this, because it goes to people cosplaying and taking other people's positions. We know that they do, but so many people's family members were killed in the war, right? And they keep elevating the number. But if you kill 6 million people, who are the people that were left? And he said that they were taking some of the names of the people killed, and other people were taking their identities. Did you know that? They were actually taking on the identities of people that were so-called dead. And those are the people living over there in Israel. It's like the people who weren't Jews. This is alleged. There was a Jewish guy who said this. He was talking to Candace Owens. You got to look, maybe because I'm not giving it right, but he said they weren't Jews. They were people who took on the Jewish names and cosplayed so they could go over in there in Israel. So I just found that out. Did you guys know that? I didn't know. I never heard that before. He said that the people who would die, they get a list and someone would take on their names. And those are the people going over there getting $2,500 checks from the USA and Germany. I don't know how true it is, but that's the first time I found it. Because, I know there's a lot of cosplayers over here who take on other people's destiny swapping, take on other people's identity. It was the first time I ever heard that. You guys may have known. I didn't know. I had no clue. That was interesting. I'd like to, I don't really want to go too deep on it, but it was interesting. And also what I was going to say is be careful, because there's a lot of people who were possessed during this time. Oh, that was another thing. This is not an Andromeda message. I gave my message out. Take what you can from the Andromedans. Please do not. I am just a messenger. It's funny to me that I will get more pushback giving you a message from galactic being cosmo beings, but you get all these other groups who give messages every day and no one pushes back. The only reason is because they don't like the visual that's giving the message. It's crazy to me. The whole cosmic scene, those who say they're in alignment with the aliens, or they give messages all day. You got what's his name? This guy who's channeling aliens all day. No one says anything, but you see what YouTube does when I give you a message? My God, lets you know. You know what I mean? Anyway, but what I will say to you is during Halloween and before that, there were a lot of possessions. I want to let you know that. There were a lot of possessions. And I want you to know that you got to be careful. If you ever watch Westworld, do you guys ever watch? Oh, sorry. I'm like lopsided. Sorry, y'all. That's how you know I'm not on Ozempic. I'm working out, y'all. I am. I promise you. I'm not on Ozempic. Allegedly, Ozempic is literally lizard venom, y'all. And the only people who do well on Ozempic are those with lizard lines. So when you see the Kardashians, I think, are insectily, but those who do well with Ozempic, they're from the lizard lines. Okay. That's allegedly. I don't want to get no problems, but I heard word on the curb is, because with Kukarachi shot, you heard it was snake venom. And it's amazing to me that the reptilian, they give people, you don't realize, like, how come no one's affected by it? But most people don't realize there's a lot of reptilian hybrids that are not affected by the same things that you and I would be. So if you have somebody who takes a lizard venom, and you heard this guy, they tested a lizard and it came out with Ashkenazi on the thing coming back. Why? I didn't say it. I'm just repeating what I heard. If you got a problem, go look. It came back that Ashkenazi was on it. Why would you test a lizard and then it come back and it's linked to Ashkenazi blood? There's a lot of lizards and certain a lot of reptilians, y'all, and those are the ones that are not affected by the shots. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that, but just be careful because there was a lot of possession during this time. A lot of people were possessed and mounted. So if you ever watch Westworld, you'll notice that when you watch Westworld, oh, it's like 111. There's 1,101 people on here. Oh, stop. If you ever watch Westworld, remember the old school Westworld? Did anybody watch it? The old school one when they were going to the resorts and they would come back replicated. You got to be careful, yo. We got body snatchers, and a lot of people are being mounted and taken over. There's a lot of possession. And also, you're mixing in with people who are not born. So there are a lot of people, there are a lot of beings that don't want to go through the process. There was a lady online, she was African. You probably heard her. I wish I knew her name. I want to give her credit for this. She said this, and I was like, oh snap, she's right. She was saying that you're in contact with people that weren't born. You're in contact with people that did not want to go through the birthing process, nor did they want to go through the baby process. And they come in, you call them walk-ins, I call it possession. Okay, sometimes walk-ins can be a form of possession. Okay, don't get it twisted. Saying that some people just come in the body when the child is permissible, kind of like a Damien. Remember Damien? I actually think Damien is like a true story. If you ever watch, whoa, Damien, oh, Damien, yeah, go watch Damien. That's a true story. Like if a child, you see all these demon seed and stuff like that. There are children walking. You ever walk around a child? And this is what I'm saying. We don't know all the time that what we're seeing is real. How do we know that they're not putting all these children they're kidnapping, they're not putting themselves in those children? I'm just playing devil's advocate. How do we know that what we're seeing on television or these places, like children are being kidnapped? How do we know that they know they can't stay in bodies and they're getting children to see if they can insert their demons in those children and doing swapping? Because they're not just using the organs and so on. A lot of them can't survive biologically. How do we know that they're not getting swapped? You remember the movie, like you see all these movies when people adopt children and children come in the house and the child has like dark eyes. Yeah, there's a lot of people walking around like Chucky, right? Nobody talks about that. And during Halloween, there's a lot of swapping. So watch your children. Don't let people come in your house like that. Don't let people touch your child's head. You know, I come from a culture, and I think you should follow. Don't let people touch your child's head. When people say, or, you know, people who like to touch your baby, there are body swappers right now. People who want to attach like duppies. Where are my Jamaican family? Duppies, people who are Obia practitioners, like in Obia in Jamaica or Santeria and so on. You know, there's people that will attach to your child. So you see like duppy, they say duppy in Jamaica. A duppy will attach to your child. You got to be careful. Don't let people touch your child's head. And when the baby's first born, you know, y'all, I am like the queen pen of giving birth to children. You got to put that what is it called? Oh God, what is it called? You put that thing underneath the bed. I tell you all the time, my brain is like, I think I drank too much coffee today. You put God, I say it to you all the time. It's like the blue ball. You put the blue ball underneath the bed in the water. Oh my God, it'll come to me. I say it to you all the time. Camphor. Thank you. The camphor. Thank you, Damashe. The camphor. You put the camphor by the bed. Don't let people come in your child's bedroom. You know, and also women. There's a lot of witches out here. The brujanas are out of control. Oh, let me give a shout out to the crazy brujana. There are brujanas, y'all. They're out of control, y'all. And I don't care what you say. You keep going to these countries, y'all. A lot of these men are not. Listen, sunflowers. I'm not gonna call you names. Let me talk to you real quick, okay? Let me just, because we're just chatting here, right? We're just having a conversation. Stop going to these countries where women practice occultism like they change their panties. Let me say it again. Stop going to these countries where women practice occultism like they change their panties. They are masterful in generationally learning how to siphon and to put men under spells. There are countries I told you about already. I told you, be careful. You got the passport bros leading you down. I almost feel like the passport bros are plants from the government to send you to places so you could be entrapped. There are places where they're killing men like nothing. Watch these women. Anything, if you know enamor spells, y'all, and Kim Kardashian is known to do it. Enamor spells is when you look at women and you see the most beautiful woman in the world. She looks perfect. She looks amazing. She looks so gorgeous. There are countries that practice that regularly. Forms of enamorment magic is also forms of like plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is an extension of enamorment magic. It is a physical manifestation of enamorment magic, making a woman perceive in a way that she truly isn't. Because true beauty comes from inside out. If a woman has to placate that by putting tons of makeup on, eyelashes and mass destruction, fake boobies, fake bum, that's a form of enamorment magic. Okay, she may not have the ability to use it with like uh uh like magic itself, but she does it in a physical way. So she uses physical magic in order to change the way she looks. And then you get mad when you have a child and your child looks nothing like her. You have to stop. Men, stop being enamored by women's physicality. A naturally beautiful woman will eliminate inside out. She won't have a lot of things. I'm trying to teach you something, y'all, and you don't listen. I'm just trying to help you out. But enamorment magic is working. When you go to countries like Colombia, um, a lot of the Latin American countries, the women have mastered enamorment magic. They have. Certain places in the Caribbean, certain places in Europe, they've mastered that. So you visually see a woman that looks so, you just want to touch her. That's why you know that with the government, with Willy Wonka's League of Doom, what is the number one thing with Charlie Kirk we talk about? Honeypots. Honeypots are a manifestation of that. Who do you think? Do you think they're going to get ugly women? Women are not so physically, beautiful to you, and because they know. Men, you got to stop being trickable. You have to stop. These honeypot thoughts are another manifestation of enamor magic. They will utilize women's beauty because men have a hard time rejecting that which they see physically attractive, and they use it against you. And some man asked me this time, he was like, how do I know? How do I know it's real? I said, because she'll be illuminating that inside out. True beauty is natural. You see these nails, and I'm over the top, yo. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm not in my prime. So I'm just saying, like, women, why would you want a woman who doesn't care about her electromagnetic field? When you put fake nails on and nail polish, it messes with. Someone asked me the other day, how come you don't use fake nails? Because that messes. I do garden too, but the messes with your electromagnetic field. That is going to mess with also my health and my beauty. You see these women wearing fake nails all the time, putting stuff over themselves. Like, why are they covering up their because if you're naturally beautiful, you don't really even think about it. If you look at, and I'm not, no shade, y'all, because women, we do a lot of things. But I'm telling you, if you go to other places on the higher tiers, those women are not wearing fake nails. They're getting their skin, they're eating well. Their hair is thick and lush. Their eyelashes are thick and lush. They use natural means because they understand that is part of the illumination. So men, if you see a woman that you like and you want to verify, her inside should match her outside. If she's shallow, if she only wants you to, buy her things, and that's the way that and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with, you know, uh, you know, doing things for a woman. I think it's part of the whole, you kind of like showing your ability to provide for her. It has nothing to do with that. But if a woman is always asking you for things that are over the top, things that are out of your realm of affordability, if she's always seeing you as something other, just more of a provider. Women are very funny. If she really likes you, she doesn't even really require anything of you. It's just how we're set up. And a woman who's really naturally beautiful, there's nothing that you have. She will illuminate that. She won't have to wear a stitch of makeup. She won't have to have fake anything on her. She will be okay walking around. She doesn't have to have her nails done all the time. She could walk. Remember the whole thing in the Bronx? What was it, in New York City? Remember back in the days? Ella Cool J was gay, allegedly. But remember, he was like, a woman he wanted a woman that could just dress and just wear lip gloss and just wear sweatpants. The prettiest women won't be enamored all the time. Okay, she can look nice when she goes out, but she won't need to wear falseness around you. That's a sign that you're with somebody. So you're gonna, if you like fake things, and if you're fake, you're gonna attract fake things too. That around the way girl. Thank you, Susu. Around the way. Remember the around the way girl? Bamboo earrings and extensions in her hair. It was a cute song though. It kind of talked about like the regular girl, like a healthy girl doesn't have a need to enamor you. Okay, because if she's natural, if she loves herself, she feels like she wants somebody to be attracted for her. I would prefer a man be attracted to me fluffy, looking this way, not made up. I mean, then you know it's real. Okay, so men, stop falling for the enamorment, because you're just, if you like all that falsetto, then you deserve the falsetto. But you've got to be careful, because you got these witches out here, brujanas, and they utilize your enamorment with them, your obsession with them, your obsession with the physicality. They'll take advantage of you and they'll put you under a spell. And next thing you know, you're eating out of her toilet. Okay, you're doing things that you normally wouldn't do, and that's on you. You got to be careful. You just be mindful. I'm not saying girls who wear extensions and so on, they're beautiful too. I'm just saying be careful with a girl that's all who she is. It should show from inside out. Okay, that's all. That's all. So gentlemen, stop falling for the brujanas, because you got a lot of women using that magic, and that's why Charlie Kirk got caught up allegedly with. When I see, did you guys see when his wife, his widow, did you see how she was touching Squirrel Vance's hair? That's what I'm saying. Like, be careful. You over here being obsessed with women, how they look, but that'll take you out. And I'm not saying you shouldn't like someone's visual, because we want to have children. That's normally what people want to do when they want to mate. You're attracted to that you want to replicate. But if everything on her is fake, what you gonna replicate? And you got, I'm just saying. And also watch people who are mounted right now. And also a sign that someone's been mounted, just to give you FYI for those who are in here, since we're chatting, and YouTube likes to get me off of here, is when someone is, I can't tell sideways. Hold on, y'all. When someone is mounted, they'll smell like sulfur. Okay. So when you got a dark spirit on someone, especially something that's dense, it'll smell like sulfur. So she's always got a lot of perfume on. If she's got too much perfume on, you can't smell her natural scent. And if she doesn't have it, you got to be careful, because she's mounted. There's a lot of women that are mounted, a lot of men who are mounted. You got to smell it. If it smells like sulfur, you got to be careful. Usually that's associated with spirits on someone. Okay. Possession is real. There's a lot of beings walking around that are either, NPCs. They're not even real. They're like loopers. They're just like, part of the program. Then you've got mounted beings or possessed beings walking around hosted in a body that's not theirs. And usually if it's a spirit, it's usually sulfur. Now, occultists know this. It's like a scent comes with them. Okay. It's very, and if it's something that's lower and more dense in the body, then it can't walk. Big up to all the occultists, people who are practicing them. When something is outside of body for a long period of time, it forgets the mechanics of the body. So you'll notice that it can't walk properly. It's off. It's wobbly. Like, so if a being has been possessed or taken over or hosted by something, and it's lower, meaning it could be it's not necessarily demonic. It's like a life form that it might have been out of body a long time. It hasn't been able to get a body, or it isn't qualified to get a body because it's so dense. It will walk odd. It'll walk like lopsided or off. It will be off kilter. Yeah, misaligned. You got to watch things like that. But, I say you pay attention, especially it's a cold season. It's right after Halloween. The veil is closing, so you may not see as much, but you got to be careful with that. People who are really lopsided with walking. I'm not talking about people with special needs, where those people have had that their whole life. But a lot of these creatures get in body and they don't know how to use it. They don't know the mechanics of it, because they never have a human body if they've been out of it for a long time. Oh, wait, you said Trump just threatened to attack Nigeria. What else is new? Who is, y'all, I told you before, and it's coming out now. I didn't, big up to my family in Jamaica, all the family members in Jamaica. I hope everybody's doing well. Big up to those in Haiti, also in Cuba Cuba as well. You do know that Willy Wonka is over in Venezuela, right? And because they're mad that China took over the oil over in Venezuela along with Russia, they're trying to match that energy. So they took over Guyana. My Guyana family, I'm so sorry. And Jamaica has a whole bunch of oil on their coastline. And it just so happens to be in the area where, Jamaica got hit the hardest, which was in St. Elizabeth. Was it St. Elizabeth? Right? And St. Elizabeth. The Caribbean is being, it's being, like I said, Caribbean people, this is time to step up and stand up together. You got the biggest occultists there are. You got Obius, you got Santerias, you got freaking voodooists, you've got the Jongojeas, you got all, yeah, you've got those practicing Yoruba, you got those in Brazil who practice Kumbale. Come on now. Where are my occultists in the house? Women, this is where the Andromedas want you to step up and step out. We aren't victims. This is where they want to mess with you. You need to step up. Women, you have to step in your power. There isn't any man. The patriarchy is over. You're going to have to step in your power and show up and show out. This is the time you step in together, go into the forest, go into the jungle and do your work. Okay. Instead of doing love spells for men whose phalluses are about to collapse, why don't you do some magic to protect your family and yourself for the next cycle? You need to step in. You got all the Willy Wonka all in the Caribbean waters, popping off on freaking, also, unfortunately, the prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago just sold out. He sold out a while ago. Prime Minister of Trinidad is sold out. Prime Minister and the cabinet of Jamaica sold out. All of these people sold out, y'all. They're selling the people out. You cannot. The Willy Wonka can't be trusted. They're all from the lizard people. These are not even humans. If you look at the prime ministers on the island, y'all, they don't look like the people anymore. They're starting to look like lizard people. You sitting there expecting people who are wealthy, who are part of the oligarchy, who have a tie to the Willy Wonka's League of Doom and the United Fakes, and you think they're gonna have your best interest? Y'all need to link up. Brazil, Venezuela, Jamaica, Cuba. Jamaica and Cuba are best friends too. It used to be Jamaica, Venezuela, and Cuba. Y'all are best friends. Dominican Republic, get it together, because y'all sold out your old brethren on the island. You still trying to fight complexions, preto. You still trying to fake the funk. DR, let's get it together, okay? So you're powerful people. You're from the people that y'all cousins from Haiti. So y'all got to get it together, because you still in that complexionism. You still trying to separate yourself from your brethren and Haiti. You're gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer from throwing them under the bus. All of you need to get together right now and just link up. Okay. The problems is not because you're a victim. It's the problem is that you think you're a victim. If you realize the power that you have is the womb, you will realize that you have control over everything. The reason why everything's falling apart is because you've conceded and you've become apathetic in your own existence under this system. Okay. Fight the powers that be. You don't have to fight. You just have to stand in your power. Okay. Bring back that power of the wombs. The mermen are protecting their mer women. Why don't you start connecting to Mami Wata again? Go bring the bleeding womb into the waterways and call your sistren. Those are the ones who have the knowledge and the power right now to overcome, because they're going to take over the land masses. They have the ancient power to tell you and to share with you what's necessary to overcome the oligarchy on the surface of the planet. Okay? They can do that. You need to go in, and I'm giving you a tip, y'all. Walk into the water with your bleeding wombs. The worst thing, there's a reason why the pirate ships had to have bare-breasted women on their ships to have safe journey. A bleeding womb will call other sea stars. They have a connection to that. So I'm just giving you a little tip. That's a little bit. I don't want to give some of these dark Liliths any information, because they're just dastardly. They're still worshiping the patriarchy and the phalluses. They're working on their regard, but I'm talking to the ones who feel like they're victims. Stop being a victim and walk into the waterways and call your sistren. Those are your family members. They have the ancient knowledge of the trees. Go to the trees with your bleeding wombs. Sit on the soil of the greatest tree in your forest. There's a reason why they don't want women going back into the forests and jungles. There's a reason they don't want you going into the waterways. You got the African people avoiding water because your preachers are telling you that they don't want you getting possessed by the sea creatures or the mer family. They don't want you being possessed, but you don't realize that's your power. Every man wants to have access to your womb. It's not necessarily to love you up or to get off. It's sometimes to get access to the things you have access to without trying. So there aren't any victims here. You know, if we are suffering from any form of abuses from governments that you feel like you voted into, that's your fault. You've trusted your enemy. You've fallen into apathy. You have become a victim of your own. You've become not a victim. You've become subjugated under your own Stockholm syndrome. Why would a woman trust men that are not protecting them or their children? Why would you put trust in a government or a system that doesn't have any sort of lengthy, measures for protecting you? Do you see what some of these ICE agents are doing with women in front of their children? You don't think that's by chance? They've contracted the worst of the worst coming into the country from South Africa. Remember when those remember Musty Dusty's cohorts from South Africa? They've been contracted. Why do you think some of these ICE agents don't speak to you? Because they have a thick South African accent and they hate you. They hate you, especially if you're brown and you're a brown woman. You're dirt underneath them. Why do you think why do you think they'll torture you in front of your children? And now that I found out after World War II, there's these fake people over in the Middle East placating like they're the original people. They're over there placating. Now I understand why you could blow a child's head on. Now I can understand why you could support children going to jail and being raped in those areas. Now I can understand why in Saudi Arabia, men only have sex with women to create children, and you can have sex with each other as a form of, of affection. Because a lot of these beings in there are not, they're cosplayers. There's some sort of like arcade. I actually think they're Cabbage Patch. I think in order to have that kind of mindset, you would have to be a Cabbage Patch, some sort of geoengineered being that was created outside the womb. Any womb being would have sadness, even if they hated people. Like there's people I don't like, but if I see something happen to their children, I would cry. If let's say, like, I'm a brown woman, right? And let's say there was a lunar man who was mean to me. It doesn't happen, but I'm just saying, let's say, and I saw something happen to his child, my heart would hurt still, because I still have a soul. Any being that sits there and condones children to being arrested, all in the Middle East, they do that. They got them prisons over there, prison camps up in there, and they got children singing, Palestinian children singing inside of a jail cell. Any person who can condone that, those are not humans. They're probably Cabbage Patch. They were probably geoengineered. And I got a blood type thing that I think. There's certain blood types where that is actually, they just don't have, they're not natural. They're not from here. They don't have compassion for children from here. I would really like to know the blood types of the Palestinian children. I would like to know the majority of blood types in Israel, and I want to know the blood types of the children in Palestine. I just want to know what's the majority. I'm not talking about, like, I want to know Ruses. Are they negative Rus or positive Rus? Because there's a lot of negative Ruses in Israel. I want to know how many positive or negative Ruses are in Palestine. I just want to know. I don't know. I just want to link it. So if anybody knows, I would love to just, I'm a bit of a clinician still. I'm a bit of a scientist in that way. Because I feel like sometimes when people see another group of people as lesser, it's because their Ruses don't match. I'm just saying. I could be wrong. Right? I could be wrong. But it'd be interesting to see. Okay? When you're seeing what's happening over in Sudan, I don't even want to talk about just Palestine. If you see what's happening over in Sudan right now, what blood type, because the Arabs are over there contracting other brown people to kill off those brown people. So I'm wondering, of those Arabs, how many of them are negative Rus? And how many of the Sudanese are positive Rus? And what are the different Ruses? Because I actually think we're actually seeing blood lineage fighting against certain lineage. Like, blood types matter. I don't know. I'm just making, I don't have any conclusion because I don't know. But when I see like black ants and red ants fight, it's because they come from a different background. They come from a different tribe. You know, when you see people fighting like that and there's a lack of compassion, it's usually because there's a roost differential. Certain roosters, you know, feel a certain way about another roost. Okay. It's the same thing that I won't trust Willy Wonka because he's saying that O negative is a universal blood type. And I'm just saying, I'm calling bluff on that. Why? Is because the only person who can house both roosters in their womb is an O positive woman. An O negative woman cannot house a positive roost, or it would be killed unless she gets a Rogaine shot. Not always the case. There's some example. There's some other examples of a few people who don't have that condition, but most women who are O negative will kill a positive roost in their wombs. So you're going to tell everybody that O negative is the universal blood type so that you put O negative in people that are positive. So you think that an O negative who can't house a positive in her womb, that blood type should be put in positive roosters when they need it, and that's considered universal? I'm telling you, y'all, if you're in the hospital, if you're a positive roost, do not let them put a negative roost in you. Look what it does to a baby that's positive roost, and they'll tell you that. And people don't even have like your cognitive dissonance is taken over. Like, you listen to these bastards. They will tell you one thing and then show you something different. If that's the case, how could they be universal? How could you be a universal blood type and you kill certain children in your womb? It doesn't make sense. Only person who can house both roosters in their womb is positive roost. Think about it. These are the things. That's what I'm saying. I think what we're seeing in the Middle East, Africa, are roost wars, species wars, a group of species of beings that are working, probably lizard people trying to kill off another type of species that they don't want there. And also, you remember, a lot of these countries, if you look at the countries, look at who sells all the gold. If you are not Sudanese, if you are not African and you're selling gold, then you are a pirate of the Caribbean. You're a pirate, because if you don't have gold where you are, how are you getting access to it? Because I don't see any of the African people benefiting from selling gold, at least not on the bottom tier. So how do you have a whole bunch of gold that you're selling, but you're not from the blood type or the blood lineage of the people or the tribes that are living there with that gold? So that means you're a pirate. Instead of telling people stop getting welfare in America, why don't we stop giving gold to the welfare? Those are welfare recipients that are taking your gold and selling it and not giving you a profit off of it. Stop giving gold to these parasites. Okay? And the women, you have to start building yourself up so that you can fight. Your womb can come against any unnatural being that's not from your landmass. If these beings are coveting your minerals, you have a call to that mineral through your blood. The mineral has been sourced on your land, on your blood of your ancestors. You could call it back. Okay? We have to know that we're more powerful than we are, and there aren't any victims here. And you know, I say this, a lot of people get triggered. A lot of the C-stars don't get triggered, C-stars, because it was a C-star saying she got molested. You know, is it okay that she was a victim? Listen, you got to be bigger minded in order to come here on this channel. You're not a victim. You aren't a victim. You are receiving a karmic or a residue to resolve something spiritually. And if you take the lesson and learn from it, then there won't be a recycling of it. What do you think? Okay, so I asked this, and I got to give props to Jewel Brookman. I'm talking to you guys. I got to go on Zoom in a minute. I got to cook. Okay, so let's talk about Jewel Brookman. And all of you should really go and listen to Jewel Brookman's old messages. If you remember, oh my God, majority of candidates are positive roots. You know what, Ashe? I didn't know that. Wow. Y'all, you got to listen. You really got to listen to some of these things. You got to find out. Jewel Brookman is amazing. If you're not listening, I think she was on Brother Richard's channel as well a little while ago. I love her. A lot of the cultivation of me acknowledging the non-victimhood, if you want to thank me for that, please don't. Thank the master teacher who gave me the tools and the acknowledgement and the education I needed to know I wasn't a victim. You know, she talks about this all the time, is that we garner energy from our behavior in this life and other lifetimes. And that's why I say we aren't victims. What happens to a man or a woman that molests and hurt children if they're recycled? What do you think they would come back as? Let me hear your opinion, because I'm going to tell you what I know now. What do you think a man or a woman who molests and hurts children, they would come back as a victim? You have to be higher minded to understand that, because you aren't a victim. You are a recipient of what you've given out energetically, whether it's in this life or another life. Okay? If we are a woman and we're receiving a lot of angst from men or abuse, we've got to try to pull in where that's coming from. It may not even come from another life. It may come in a life where you judged another woman for being abused and staying in it. Remember I told you, like, I used to judge some women for being overweight, and then I became overweight. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, Papa Daddy. Would love more shorts from you. Oh, the short videos. I don't know how to do it. I could try. I'll try to do those. I know I can. I did it once or twice. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, I remember judging a woman like, oh my God, like she should just work out and lose weight. And then you realize, like, you have children, your weight doesn't come off, you end up, your adrenals get shot, like your cortisol levels are off the hook. You are being abused by your chemicalization in your food, and then you're fluffy. Right. And then you judge another person for that. So what happens is that you're a recipient of your own judgment. So I'm not saying that it's right for someone to be victimized. I'm not saying it's good. I have compassion for all people who have been hurt and harmed in any which way, animals as well. But it doesn't take away from, we are living in a energetically projected world where we are recycled into a system with reflections of who we are, thought pattern and action indeed. I want to thank Dr. Joel Brookman and also Dr. Delbert Blair, Dr. Africa, Layla Africa, rest in power, for showing me and elevating me to concepts that were beyond me as a young girl, understanding why certain things were happening to some and not others. There's a reason why these dark Kabbalists do massive rituals to not be birthed into this realm, because being birthed means you anchor in your consequence and your deeds in your reality. So a lot of these occultists will take the soul like a genie in a bottle and place it into a body that is geoengineered, so that they are bypassing reincarnation, which would bring in consequence for their poor behavior. They found a way to do it. You can watch movies where they kind of talk about it, right? So for that reason, what you think, what you do, how you judge is your life. So that's why I tell you, there isn't any, if you are a person who's been abused, you could just take that and be like, what lesson am I to learn from this? Is this a lesson I learned to break out of my own pain, my own victimhood, and use this as fuel to be a victor, to be great, to have higher self-esteem, to teach others to overcome it? What lesson do you learn in that? You aren't going to sit in it. You're going to take that and use it to be a catalyst to see why it is that your experience has made you into a person that could perhaps show and prove that nothing that suppresses you, you can overcome anything that was meant to suppress you. That's why there's no reason why we should be upset with the Willy Wonka system. Willy Wonka only exists because we've created that kind of demon in here. We've created that kind of those characters, those the nemesis in our video game, right? We've created them. And why are they created? To challenge us and to allow us to see where we can overcome any form of limitation, that nothing outside of you can really limit you unless you allow it. That's why when they said, oh my God, people are going to riot on November 1st, where are the riots, y'all? You see that? Because they've lost. They've really lost. They're losers. They're losing their ability to gaslight people into acting belligerent. Now, I'm sure there was a couple other people that acted crazy, but did they really get the results that they wanted? The news were saying it. The news was talking about Jamaica. Oh, Jamaica's going to be decimated. The whole island is going to be destroyed. Do you see how these bastards, none of them are higher minded. They never say anything. Well, let's hope. Let's pray. Let's do things for Jamaica. Let's do things for the people. They never do that. They want to give you the worst so that you utilize your mind to take that inside, internalize it, and project it back into the reality. They're losing. They aren't able to do it as much anymore. Okay. So I want to end at that. I think I'm at 2 hours. I hope, I hope I gave you the message that that was appropriate from the Andromedans. I also hope that you gained some information that you can kind of source and do things that would be helpful for you. And also, I also hope that you get to witness the resolve that many of you have felt you weren't able to get, as far as seeing consequence for those who have lived misaligned and have done things harmful to others. Okay, so I gotta go. I gotta cook, y'all. I'm a little late. I like to have dinner ready at 6, but I'm a little late. So I'm gonna go cook for my pitney, for my youngins, my cubs. Okay, I'm gonna cook for them, and get ready for Zoom tonight. I will be doing Zoom. I think the Zoomies, are you Zoomies still on? Are the Zoomies still on Zoom? Are the Zoomies still Zooming? And also for those on Patreon, I just want to say, are you guys still on Zoom? Are you, or did it kick you off yet? Oh no. I thought you were still on Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to create Zoom for everyone, so you can join me on Zoom for tonight. And also for those who are on Patreon, I know some of you are not checking Patreon. If you were kicked off, it's just they Willy Wonka had hijacked my Zoom and my name on Zoom. I mean, not Zoom. Hijacked my Patreon. So they were selling cocaine on my Patreon, y'all, and it wasn't me. They're trying so hard. It's crazy to me. You know what I mean? So I just picked another location. So for those who want the new link to come on the new site, which you don't need to know, you'll get that tonight when you come on Zoom. Okay, or you could check on the Patreon and the link is there. Okay, so. Thank you, everybody. I hope the message was okay. I hope everybody takes what they want from that. I will come on again. So I'm wishing everybody well until next time. And we're probably going to go on about, I forgot about Mall World. I forgot. I was supposed to talk to Jay Drew about Mall World. I'll get more about that. I'll probably just make a video on Mall World and the simulated world that is collapsing and trying to create another system to encapsulate souls. So we'll get into that next time. Maybe I'll come in this week. Okay. So wishing everybody well. Thank you so much and peace. Oh, and let me do a shake for the haters on YouTube. Can't stop, won't stop. Stop trying to get me off my page. Peace.